Well, several things. First of all, oh, where do I begin? It's a changing time for women. I mean, in a way, because all this rose stuff was running, women were sort of put as this old, almost 50s romance. And oh, darling, what can I do for you? You don't have to do anything. Just stay home, cooking, clean up, paper, everything. It was like this fantasy they were trying to sell a lot to some people. Meanwhile, you have high level women who are wanting to have their careers, their families successful, and to participate in a modern world, a modern earth. So it's interesting, I have my comedy channel persona, the Marilyn Monroe reincarnated for real. And, which it's funny. ETs fly by and try to make it sound automated, as if it's an automated servant to somebody. It's not an automated servant. It is a person who remembers their reincarnation. So if you run a thread of speech being rude to me through some electronic device to make it sound like that, which actually hurts the brain, it's rude. And I would prefer if they wouldn't do that, because she was a very deep feeling, kind person who was a lovely lady who did kind things for people. So this is where I say, don't abuse these fabulous spaceships doing sick things. People who do. Because if you have a bunch of little gray drones trained to be cruel to people who giggle and think it's funny, because you know what a gray is? A gray is an overgrown, genetically suppressed creature who is like a giant baby with a big head, with big eyes, like when you look at fetal photos. They are near blind in light. Okay, so their eyes are not developed and they can't handle light. And they are hyperspace sensitive. Their tissue is very malleable, so they fly well in interstellar craft. And they have, there's a lot more information about them on Grey Agenda Lands 2 post on Starlight's date blog. Now, they're little freaks sometimes that will come by, pull, and do all kinds of things. Sometimes they serve lesser entities. Lesser entities who will sit there and they show me all your faces, all who do it, and yank and are rude and should know better than to pull with grace. Very great people who are VIPs, regardless of what their income level is at the present moment, because of how much was done from them and their mind for society for 11 years, and they should show some respect instead of being disrespectful. So those people who do that, I'm sending the Andromedans to remind them. Anyway, it's just rude stuff like that. So I would say that it's a time, you see, I'm female. I can't even get through a video half the time without some interruption. So it's disrespectful. So what I would say is, for women in this modern time who have awakened and are evolving, you know, when you do that, it stabilizes our hormones, stabilizes everything. We don't have the hormonal mood swings anymore as some women do prior. Goes away completely. It changes drastically. And, there's all kinds of gynecological jokes and on the rag this and period nanny and all this. I'm tired of it. I've heard it. And it is a dogma and an old mind of disrespect. The womb is a miraculous organ. It cleans its cells, cleans itself completely, and replaces itself. So we have a very, very good self maintenance in these female bodies. It is a miracle. And it's not really something people mention very much. They just mention mood swings and whatnot. So when you study Blue Matrix, you'll find is any kind of hormonal mood swings go away completely. And period cramps, all of it, you won't have it. It goes away. and the period is light. Mine was 5 to 6 days, and I wouldn't even bleed at night. Short. And it changed from doing energy science. Everything in the body was clean. Bowel worked well. Okay. Nothing wrong with it. Heart rate, amazing. Low blood pressure. Healthy though. Not plummeting from ETs once in a while. Engaging me. But anyway, I'm still healthy. I carry groceries. I power walk. I do my own cleaning. I'm around here anyway. It's not very big. So it is, I'm an active person. I'm not waiting for everyone to just carry my bags like in the Monroe movies. So those were movies, as well. It wasn't real life. So we have a self-respect, self-respect happening. And, it's interesting. I was looking at the magazine Playboy because I posted it last lifetime. And it's interesting now because with Hugh deceased, it's women in the business now as well. And it has a much more female friendly evolution than some of the other nudie magazines. And I looked at it, I got a subscription to follow what it was doing. And I found that the first magazine that I read had a really interesting article on women in the history of sports and technology articles, all kinds of things. So very friendly towards females. And even the nudity depicts basically women as if they're hanging out in their own environment with very little clothing. Nothing overly provocative or suggestive that, they're like the pinups we had in my time, just women peering. So very respectful magazine. And it's interesting to see women more involved in that industry because we have a say now as to what is done with the female form, the nude form. What is presented along with the female form, you know? And if you have a lot of good articles in a publication where there's nudity, it is presented differently than just lascivious, uh, well, you know, that you have, what's the word? The correct word, strike that, is really, you have content for purpose of titillation that is suggesting, you know, uh, copulation act being invited. And then you have other ones that are just presenting an artistic nude form with some good writing. So those kinds of things happening are not bad if you have women who are involved in the business who are now presenting those types of images with mind. Because in the ancient times, women who were topless were great queens, who were great initiators of people. And that's what they associated the nudity with, was the power of the goddess. It wasn't a come hither to fornicate, or they would drag you out of the room, as being rude. So it wasn't permissible. It was for the married couple to enjoy. And so uh, if you have more artistic presentation of females with more intelligent writing or more of a purpose other than just to uh, titillate somebody, then you have a society that is beginning to evolve out of the dark ages of smut as the connotation of anything nude or naked, where you can barely even put a bathing suit on, or people are saying cover up because people might see, this kind of thing. So it's needed in the evolution of our species to have this type of experience. So I would say there was confusion about this before, about, well, she looks like a slut and that one looks professional, but then it's really a stereotype. So I would say it doesn't matter how sexy a person looks or how attractive or how curvy or not curvy. It is what the presentation is of what the person offers that is most important, and not to be misunderstood for something that is not offered or presented because that is a danger to being slapped with a lawsuit. So people should pay attention what beautiful women are actually doing in terms of appearing in media, because arts and entertainment, in general speaking, because it isn't just a pretty girl that's there, for a jerk. We have a lot to say. So I would say that less is more with that jerk that tends to listen and judge on the airwaves, disturbing people doing their work for furtherment of mankind's higher intelligence, and to shove it. And you people know what I'm talking about who have learned about the jerk done by some brethren. And the jerk also keeps the jerky or the jerker or whatever we want to call him stupid. Because think about it, the guy's rerunning a program of a ball or putting something down or whatever it is, and it keeps them stupid and aggressive and hostile. I believe it also contributes to violence in society. So I would say get rid of the jerk. And it isn't the same connotation as someone having an erotic experience by themselves. It's a man to whatever they may be doing. Women and men have those experiences, nothing wrong with it. Just don't make it political or to ball or to make somebody, you know, I think we get the point. It's very derogatory to people who are contributory, and they should be more respectful. So I wish women great success in the coming years with their ideas, to stay firm and stand strong, not to be intimidated, not to be bawled out of their jobs, out of their dreams, out of their pursuits, not to become a man either in terms of behavior embrace your femininity, your hormones, your beauty, yes, hormones. Women's brains fire differently, and we have, the Andromedans said this, that the estrogen gene is our youth, and it is something that men do not have. And their testosterone is an aging hormone. They age very quickly compared to women, very quickly. And they said women do not have this until menopause, and then also they begin to crumble. So it is a hormone of great gift to us as part of the human species, and to embrace being female, being feminine, being strong, and not having to make an excuse and to be butch, or to be less loving, to be less affectionate, to be less. It isn't sympathy either. It's not anything to do with sympathy. It's to do with the equality that we have to be scientists, to be great leaders, to be anyone. We don't have to be categorized as a screw just because we're pretty or have big tits. We can speak intelligently, and I don't really want to compensate for it by being a total difficult person to deal with, because usually when I deal with people, I give them 9 out of 10 a chance to be kind and efficient. And if there's any problems with services I receive, that's usually when I say something. Otherwise, there's no need to say anything but thank you very much. So I encourage women to continue to be strong and not to lose their cool, and not to sit and let the men run everything that may have bought them roses, because that is basically giving in to a lesser reality where you have say over your own life sometimes, is how bad it's been. And I would like to see that end, and for women to be reinstated as normal citizens of Earth, instead of being genetic experiments, instead of carrying men to be more sensitive, less violent, and all this shit that's happened with the ETs experimenting on us. And to really be respected by all people again, because it's long overdue. So, ladies, I hope that you're really getting ready to be your best, because it's been a very difficult 10 years. Women and children, very much so. And for men, it's been confusing as hell. If they've been encouraged to sexualize everything, and then they're supposed to be respectful to women, that's where women have to really draw the line and say yes or no. Get off of me. Understand me. I don't want to fuck you. I'm talking to you about this issue. Okay? Don't misread me. Sometimes we have to be that blatant because of the programming that men got to sexualize everything. And it's confusing for them at times. So we're not without compassion, but we would like you to listen when we say no. And maybe the rape rate will go down again, because it's been bad as well. Good night.